when I launched my first Etsy shop, we quickly scaled to $1,000 a day minimum in revenue within 90 days of launching. We were running around a 36% profit margin percentage after all Etsy selling fees, product costs, and marketing expenses. Being able to scale this fast in one of the most competitive niches on Etsy was no coincidence. There was a lot of things that we did, specifically 4 things that I'm going to reveal with you today in this episode that I did that helped us scale this quickly. And you're definitely going to want to stay around to the end because I'm going to reveal a strategy that I've never revealed publicly before on YouTube for free. And essentially this strategy was one of the key factors that help us get that snowball effect of sales happen so fast. All right, so let's get into today's episode. Keep in mind, guys, even though I achieved this in 90 days, every single person is on their own journey depending on what your skill sets are. And we're gonna talk a lot about that more in this video. I achieved that in 90 days with my first Etsy brand, but I had 2 years of entrepreneurial failures of figuring it out before I came to that business venture. And all of the skills that I acquired from my other business failures contributed to that massive growth because I basically had acquired all of these skills necessary that contributed to being able to understand how to be successful online. So keep that in mind. It's not one size fits all. It doesn't mean if you don't hit $1,000 a day in revenue in your Etsy business within 90 days that it's not going to work. It's normally 99.9% of the time. If you're not seeing the revenue you want in a certain amount of time period, there is something missing there in terms of your skill set that needs nourishing to get you there. So the first thing that we did specifically is we launched in a niche that had a lot of demand. As I mentioned before, it had a lot of competition, but it had a lot of demand. Why was I not scared away by the competition? I wasn't scared by the competition because competition, I don't view competition actually as a bad thing. Competition forces us to build better businesses, and it doesn't matter what type of business you want to start, you are going to have competition. Even if you don't have competition today, the second people see that you're doing well, you're going to have competition. And so like I said, competition forces you to build a better businesses. It forces you to think outside of the box and get creative with your business to add more value to your business that your competition doesn't. And this is how products all over the world are constantly pushed to become better and better and better. And it's because of competition and forcing us to be innovative. So if there's a will, there is a way. You can break through any saturated niche if you have the will. I have a completely free PDF down below that you can download that is revealing the top most selling niches on the Etsy platform specifically. So you can get that down below for free. The second, and probably out of the top 5 things that are the most important with getting more sales on Etsy, this is number 1 or 2, I would say, which is our imagery. I perfected imagery down to a T. Imagery is so important. You are competing in those search pages. You have a millisecond to grab someone's attention, and having poor imagery versus okay imagery versus very competitive imagery makes all of the difference. So let me give you some examples. Even the smallest of lighting corrections like this make all of the difference. Individually, you would look at an image like this and you'd be like, oh, it's not that bad. The product looks good. But then when you put it next to an image like this, which one would you click on? And it's just slight color corrections, the angling of the product. It's just like when you see Instagram models and their body in one image can look like they have a 6-pack and they're just ripped, and then they slightly change the angle, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't even recognize that person because the angles and the lighting are everything. Same thing for your products. Take a look at this one. This is virtually the same product, but take an image like this and turn it into an image like this. And it's like pretty night and day here. Which one would you click on? Now, of course, you will find case study examples of listings that might have 20 add to cart badges, bestseller badges, and you look at the image and you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't that good. But remember, guys, that is an opportunity. That is not a standard for your imagery. Sometimes I get comments like, Etsy favors poor imagery. No, No, not necessarily. If someone has poor imagery, that's an opportunity to beat them. There's other variables that could be contributing to the success of that listing. The biggest one is usually time. The listing is probably years old and has hundreds of reviews, and at the time of them posting that listing, they were the only listing that existed, or they had very few competition back in the day. But I can promise you the listing is probably not performing as well, especially if you are coming in hot with images like this versus images like that. With your imagery, another key pointer is you're looking for something called pattern interrupt. So if you're selling jewelry and everyone is using neutrals and whites and beiges, consider doing a pop of color or different style of lighting that is still in trend. We're looking for those opportunities to stand out with the most competitive photography that we have. Other rule of thumbs, you want your product to take up 80% of the airspace. You do not want to risk your viewer getting distracted even for a millisecond on what the value proposition is of your product. So without them having to read a title, a description, or anything, your product main image should tell that story of exactly what the product is and what that unique value proposition is without them having to read anything, because remember, you only have a millisecond to earn that click. So if you have a really good quality, right, we need to understand that there's a good quality there. If you have a personalization, they need to understand that the value proposition of this product is that you can personalize it again without reading a single word. And a lot of times we like to zoom out on our main product image because we think it's beautiful, which it probably is. But again, I know that you know what the product is because you made the mock-up or you made the image, but again, you don't have that much time for someone to try to find your product within that image. It needs to be zoomed in on the exact product that they're getting and allow that to take up most of the airspace for the listing image. And my final remark here on imagery, I would say, in my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, when I see images that have watermarks on it, even though this is a good image, it's a beautiful image, and the watermarks are light and they're white, I would still not do this because again, you want the only thought in their mind to have to do with the product and how much they love the value, the perceived value of the product. If you add watermarks or anything that will potentially distract the viewer from the actual product that they're getting, again, it's the pros outweigh the cons on this. If people want to steal your images, they're going to do it and they're going to figure out how to do it whether you have a watermark or not. So I would rather earn that click and without a watermark and not risk distracting the viewer by looking at the word and trying to read the word and now they're thinking about the word instead of the product. You want to just cleanly get that click and earn that click with no distraction. By the way, guys, I'm just gonna cut in right here real quick. If you are somebody that you feel like you're struggling, you don't know what competitive imagery looks like, you feel like you need extra help, or you want a community to run your ideas off of, we just launched our official community, and this community is filled of high-level individual sellers that are looking to get to the 6- and 7-figure mark with their businesses. This community not only encompasses a bunch of high-network individuals, it also gives you access to different types of community forums where you can get all of your Etsy questions answered. If I'm not answering them, then the other community members are personally answering any questions or any support that you want to give to the community to elevate together. We also do bi-weekly group coaching calls. We take polls, we do everything in this community. And so our goal for 2025 is to build the biggest, largest group of Etsy sellers doing 6- and 7 figures per year, supporting one another. The biggest growth I've ever made, the biggest breakthroughs I've ever made as a seller was being around other sellers and sellers doing better than me. You are the average of your 5 best friends. If you want to be in the game of entrepreneurship, you need to be friends with entrepreneurs doing the dang thing. So if you're interested in joining our community, make sure you click the link down below and you can check out all of the perks. This is my first time running a community and so far so good. All right, so I hope to see you there. Back to the third thing. The third thing that we did was we had a super aggressive follow-up method. So what was winning for us when we first launched was showing Etsy that we were getting insane repeat buyers and getting reviews and getting them fast. So what we did after every single sale is they would get a product insert that basically gave them a discount code. We gave them what they thought was a unique discount code, like love 167845 or something like that, or they thought it was a one-time code, but it wasn't, but no one knew that. And essentially this one-time discount code got them 40% off, which was basically our break-even price. Like, you know, the discount that they got when they redeemed it would basically make the second sale break even for us. But But what it did is it showed Etsy that we were getting crazy repeat buyers for being such a young shop. The second part of this product insert is that we would ask them if they had a 5-star experience to consider leaving a 5-star review. So if someone got their product and they loved it, they now have this insane value, which is, wow, I basically am getting a product for half off. Now they're already going back inside their Etsy account. So the likely that they're going to not only purchase again, but then also leave a review is super, super high. So when Etsy sees that you have all these extra clicks and purchases and reviews coming to your shop, that boosts your store fast. And so we didn't do this forever. Obviously, I think we did this for our first 1,000 sales, but this contributed to our growth fast, especially compared to all of the other new Etsy sellers coming to the market in the competitive space that we were in. And so, yeah, like I said, the second purchase was almost a break-even point for us. But again, we were looking at long-term at the bigger picture, and it definitely contributed because I want to say almost like 10% of people would opt into this offer, which is extremely high. And if you're someone selling digital downloads or print on demand, I think Printify now you can actually have product inserts, but if not, this could manifest into just sending them a direct message 2 weeks later after they get their product or something like this. And yes, it's a tedious thing to send a message each time, but it's definitely worth it if you're a new shop because you have to think of the bigger picture at play here. And number 4, we crushed it when it came to our perceived value. So our perceived value was crafted by bundling. And this is again, something I talk about all of the time, but to do this correctly, what you do in your main image is you would bundle multiple items together, but in the variation drop-down menu, you give them the option to buy every single thing at an individual sale price, and you give them the option to buy the full set that they see in the main image. What this does is the viewer sees this amazing value proposition of the image showing all of these things, and it's going to display the cheapest price option. Now, obviously, they click on the listing, which the hardest part of all of this is earning the click. And once you earn the click, you sell them on your video, on your storytelling, on your amazing listing, and then you get them to upsell them into the full set option. The pros outweigh any cons with this one. Etsy sees that you're getting more clicks, it's gonna get favored. And obviously, as long as you have amazing follow-up branding and marketing on the back end, video, storytelling, you can easily upsell people into the most expensive thing. And I have competitors that would go crazy with this, and I know that it works every single time. I would have competitors show $15 on the front end, and then they click through, and then the most expensive thing that they could buy was like $400, and they would have a bestseller badge and a 20 add to cart badge. So like I say, the pros outweigh any con that you can think of with this strategy. Now, obviously Etsy has this new update coming out where you actually can bundle products, and I would almost suggest doing both. I would do exactly this bundling method, but now with this new feature coming out that is going to be inside of your account. My account, I can't see it yet, but I found these pictures on the internet of what it's gonna look like. They announced this in September that they'll actually have a way for you to set up bundles with 2 different listings. So you can identify what listings you want to offer as a bundle and offer a discount for a slightly cheaper price. And I would almost bundle my bundles with other bundles. I would go crazy in terms of trying to bundle things together. But obviously, not all of your listings are going to be bundles. We have a mix of both as well. So just setting up bundled options for a slightly cheaper price is absolutely huge. So I would capitalize on this as soon as this feature pops up in your account. And number 5, of course, is Etsy ads. I'm never gonna stop talking about Etsy ads. I love Etsy ads. I will fight till the end about Etsy ads. I have a full free training workshop. It's about an hour long that takes you through Etsy ads and the value of Etsy ads, what they do for your shop on the highest level. We learned Etsy ads from another YouTuber named Dave from Add to Cart, and we came in hot with Etsy ads. We got to our max budget allowance of $1,000 a day within the 90 days, okay? And that's not going to be the case for everybody. Every shop is different, especially depending on where you are financially. Maybe that's really uncomfortable for you and you don't even want to look at Etsy ads for another 6 months because financially it just doesn't make sense for you. Overall, guys, those are the 5 things that I did that allowed me to see the results that I did. So I hope you got some value, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.